Hey, everybody! Welcome back to Bowery Gaming Retrospective. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate that. Or were you stunned by the other intro that I had done? You don't want to know.
I don't know where I am.
I might put it in at the end.
How did I get here?
I might put that intro in at the end and blur everything out. I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it, guys.
You should blur out.
It's just everything. Just the entire left half of the screen just blurred.
Censored.
Alright, so in case you didn't see the thumbnail for some reason, we're doing Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. There you go. So, yeah, my original opening was, think of Chippendale dancers, men. I took my shirt off. It's not the greatest thing ever seen by human eyes. So don't worry, I won't be putting it in. But, unless you guys want it in, leave a comment if you want to see me without my shirt on. There come no dislikes.
Oh, Jesus.
Here come the fallen subscriber club. I'm going to start a therapy group. Anyway, we're doing Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Capcom.
Capcom, circa 1990.
Because I'm pretty sure Capcom had the license for all Disney games.
For the most, yeah, they did. Yeah. The game came out in 1990. It was developed and licensed by Capcom because at the time they were one of the few game companies that was big enough to also be not only their own developer, but then they could also license the games out or license the games as well too.
Yep.
Or, publish. I'm sorry, not license. Publish the games.
They did a lot of Disney games.
They did.
Tailspin.
DuckTales.
DuckTales 2.
Adventures in the Magic Kingdom.
2 Chippendale games.
Yes, 2 Chippendale games. Darkwing Duck.
They did a shitload.
Yeah.
Capcom, they're a powerhouse at this era. They still are.
Yeah, they were a powerhouse back then. I think, honestly, as far as the publishers and the licensees that Nintendo worked with, I think Konami and Capcom at the time were probably the 2 biggest powerhouses outside of Nintendo.
I would say so.
So that if anything came out that was not Nintendo, but it was Capcom or Konami, it basically it sold like gangbusters.
That's true. Even Broderbund games were huge on the NES, but a lot of them were very unsung.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the quality of their games were always pretty top notch as well.
They just did not have the money to advertise for them, and they just couldn't produce them quite like Capcom and Konami could.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. You play as Chip. You play as Dale. You go through.
You play through 10 levels.
Yeah.
In the game, there's a lot of levels. You start off with 4 lives. You get 3 continues, so the game is limited. You have a limited amount of continues, finite amount of continues. But yeah, you could play 1 player, you could play 2 player, you could play as Chip, or you could play as Chip and Dale.
Yep. 2 players simultaneous.
2 players simultaneous, which
sucks. We'll get into it.
It will end friendships. Yes.
Yes. I have mixed feelings about this game. After rewatching it for, when we first played it, I recalled sort of liking it, but then rewatching it for our retrospective.
Because you realize you sucked at it?
See, now here's what's interesting. After watching it, I realized how bad you were at it.
Bullshit.
Did you watch it?
Bullshit.
You were horrible!
I did, and I was actually not as bad as I remember.
No, he was terrible. You were terrible.
Bullshit.
Terrible.
Bullshit.
How many of my lives did you lose on that last level?
I swear.
Before it came back to me.
We had like 11 lives, and I said, give me at least 6, and you're like, fine, you can have 6 lives. We had plenty of lives to go through. Fuck you, man. You know what? Son of a bitch. You want to throw down right now? Well, fucking throw down, okay?
I was the only one left standing.
Bullshit.
Well, wait, where did Chip go in this game?
Bullshit.
That's right.
He
lost all his lives.
You know something? You son of a bitch. You were stealing lives from me.
You can't steal lives.
Yes, you could, because every time a 1-up would come up on the screen, you would fucking take it. And then guess what? I fucking died, and then guess what? You got like 5 lives came up out of nowhere. They just kept on appearing, and we're like, this game is suddenly getting more generous with their one-ups.
That's right.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that fucking funny how that works?
I think I honestly have that on my notes. You get a veritable ass ton of one-ups.
You do after one player dies.
Once Paul died, I got 5 in less than 5 minutes. So that'll actually factor into my difficulty with this game. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we'll get into it.
He sucks at this game. He's
I
terrible.
don't suck.
He's a bad partner, and this is why Power Chef is done.
Honestly, for difficulty, I gave this game a 4.
I gave it a 3, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You only gave it a 3?
Yeah. It's a 3. 3 hands down, because the game...
I felt 3 was a little too generous.
No.
I think I gave it a 4 because of limited continues, but at the same time...
does not make difficulty sometimes.
No, well, we have factored that in.
We have factored it in, but at the same time, like, the enemies are... Some of them can be annoying, but nothing is really that difficult about it. What makes it difficult is literally the 2-player function of it when you are ascending vertically. Is because you get left behind, and it's so easy to die that way. But some of the boss enemies were just absolute jokes. That's why I could not go higher than a 3 on this game.
So, I gave it a 4. The controls are not great.
They're not the best.
Jumping is heavy. Jumping is flighty. The way you attack is by picking up items and tossing them. However, the way you toss them is very odd. It's not straight on. It's like a little bit above your center of mass.
Because you jump up a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like your character naturally jumps up to then throw it. Yeah.
Which makes attacking a fucking nightmare. Then, as you stated, throw in the second player, you can stun each other.
Yeah.
The worst fucking idea ever for a game like this.
You can pick up each other, too, which...
Yes. Well, you could in Battletoads, too.
Yeah, but...
But Battletoads, it literally was not that big of a hindrance.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
In this fucking game, 2-player was...
It was bad.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It ruined the fun factor for me. Really looking at it. Ducking in the game, like when you were holding a box, you could duck in the box, did nothing. It literally did 0. You couldn't hide from anybody. You couldn't evade damage. Hiding was pointless. Ducking in general was pointless.
Mm-hmm.
There was like you said, the bosses were not hard. The enemies took variable damage. There were times when, especially in that last level with the weasels or whatever that were shooting, not the weasels. What were they?
Yeah, they were like little weasel type things. Yeah, with the machine guns and stuff.
Yeah, for some reason, I got an image in my head of the weasel from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like that. Almost, yeah,
but there were times where I'd have to hit them twice, and then there are times where I only have to hit them once. So it was almost like TMNT, where all of a sudden the enemies are taking random amounts of damage.
And that's why it pissed me off too when you're starting to say I was bad at the game because one of the weasel things killed me because I threw a box at it
and it did
die.
I think I gave that one to you too.
And
I was
then,
just like, yeah, you
and then you threw a box at it and it died in one hit and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was no consistency to the enemy deaths and how many hits it took, and it was just weird that it was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you had mentioned, you get a shit ton of 1-ups.
They are.
You get 1-ups out the fucking yin-yang on this game.
At one point, I think we had maybe 13 or something like that. We had a lot of lives.
I honestly don't think we ever continued.
No,
if I remember right,
we didn't.
Because like we mentioned, as soon as you just died, the game got worlds easier.
Worlds easier.
It almost felt like a 6 2-player and like a 3 or a 4 1-player.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
It's just
games shouldn't feel that way.
No, especially in a simultaneous setting.
Yeah.
So you might be right. I think honestly a 3 might be more fair
because
the bosses really are. Even the last boss, fucking Fat Cat or whatever his name was, a dumb ass joke.
Well, here's the thing: is that like with a lot of games like that, I think the stages in order to get to the boss characters were in most cases more difficult than the actual bosses were, because I remember there was a couple of boss fights where literally you throw the ball. There's a ball in every single area because that's what you use to attack the bosses with, and it hits them going one way, and as it's coming back, it hits them again, too.
Yeah.
So they programmed it to where every time that ball touches them, it hurts them, and they have a very limited invincibility.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, throwing it once is literally 2 hits. And I don't think any boss character is more than 6 hits.
No.
So, literally, throwing the ball, picking it up 3 times, you've just beat them.
Yep.
Like, so you don't even need more than 3 hearts. You have 3 hearts in this game, 3 hits that you get, and you don't need more than that.
No. And I want to say, if I remember watching this right, it kind of happened like DuckTales, where we killed the boss but got hit at the same time, but it still gave us the win. To where, like, we died, but we also killed the boss, and it gave us the benefit of the doubt and let us progress. I want to say that happened.
I don't think it did. I don't remember it happening that way.
I know, not DuckTales, I'm sorry, Darkwing Duck. It happened in Darkwing Duck.
Yes, it did, but I don't think it happened in Chip and Dale.
I want to, yeah, maybe not.
Maybe
I'm remembering wrong, but either way, you're right.
It's just it's not a difficult game.
No, this game's for babies.
And in fact, there's a lot of levels, and there's not even a boss fight in each one of the levels.
No, it's almost like a Mario 3-esque grid. Kinda. There were like different paths you could take, but you really didn't have to.
Yeah.
It didn't make the whole map idea really didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it didn't. It didn't. And the levels were literally A B C D E F G H I J. That's literally it. It was just letters of the alphabet instead of like names or anything like that, symbols. It was just literally letters.
So I'm gonna agree with you. It feels 3 for difficulty.
You cannot.
No.
With some of these other games that we've played that are difficult, you cannot give this game more than a 4.
No, this was this.
I
think it was more of the frustration of a 2-player.
It really was. It really was. It was the frustration of having to deal with 2 players where not only were you having to deal with enemies on screen, but we were having to deal with each other because of the fact that you can stun your partner.
Yeah.
Why would they have thought that that was a good idea?
I honestly feel like that wasn't even just us being a terrible team.
No!
I feel like that was a lot of just this game's flaws.
It was.
So, I mean, really, yeah.
There should have been friendly fire. Like, there should not have been.
No.
You should not have taken anything from getting a... Like, if your partner hits you with a box, it should have just went right through you. It should not have... It should not have caused any kind of dizziness or temporarily just pausing you.
I remember one time you threw like 5 boxes at me. I was stunned for a good like 8 seconds.
Oh yeah, I remember that because I was like, yeah, you see how that feels? You see how that feels because you did it first.
I did not.
Yes, you did, you dumbass.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I don't think you watched. I don't think we watched the same video.
I think we did.
Well, whatever. That aside, we'll move on to fun. I gave this game like a 2 or a 3. This game was a chore to play. It was irritating to play. Truly. Like, if there are games that are bad that aren't irritating to play, this was irritating to play. Captain Skyhawk was a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got frustrated, and yeah, like, I lost my cool in it, but it wasn't overall frustrating to play. This game just, it gets under your skin. Especially 2-player. Like you said, this game could end friendships. Just because of how annoying it is to actually play 2-player. I want to say people like this game for the 2-player.
It's one of those games that's it's fondly remembered.
Why?
By video game players, yeah.
I don't
in fact,
get it.
They just recently re-released it as part of the they called it the Disney Afternoon Collection. That had Chip and Dale 1 and 2, had DuckTales 1 and 2, Darkwing Duck. I think it was just those 5 games, but yeah, they just recently re-released it. So
whatever. The graphics weren't impressive. The music was probably the best part of this game because it's Capcom. Capcom's always really produced solid music. But like you'd said, if this game had better controls for jumping, better controls for attacking, and done away with the stunning of your partner, this would have been a completely different experience.
Had it been a really well developed 2-player co-op game meant for 2-player co-op, it probably would have been a different experience altogether.
Absolutely.
But I really feel like it was not made for 2-player co-op because there's just too many things that are battling against each person in order to make it a fun experience.
Absolutely. So I give it like a 2 or 3. I'm not sure which way I'm
No,
going.
and that's fine. I know that you have a lot of personal feelings in that too. So I tried to keep it objective. My fun on this game, honestly, it's around a 5.
Jesus
I know,
fucking Christ.
I know.
You gotta be shitting me.
So
You drunk?
And honestly, you know what? I may even go down on that too. I may say 4.
Even I think that's too high.
But okay. So as far as the fun goes, 4 because the music is just it's classic Capcom top notch. It is. It really is. It displayed what Capcom was what they were capable of doing on the system. As far as their music goes, I don't think that there's been if there is a bad game, there has not been one that stands out to me that has had a bad soundtrack.
No.
Capcom just does scores very, very well.
Yes, they do.
The graphics to me of this game were really good too. At the time, this game came out in 1990, so I think honestly it was very colorful. It like each level looked very distinct in that sense. I think the graphics were top notch as well too. The characters looked like they did in the cartoon. Fat Cat looked like fucking Fat Cat from the cartoon. So I mean, Chip and Dale, even though they were really small and stuff like that, they looked exactly what they were. You had Chip, who was the detective, I believe, and Dale was he had the Hawaiian shirt on. I mean, it's like it literally was spot on to what it had to be.
And then you had Gadget, and
you had all the additional characters
for the fucking
too.
love me, can't remember what the big guy's name was.
And Tailspin, Baloo, wasn't it, from Jungle Book, the bear.
Yeah, what about it?
Wasn't he in Chip and Dale too? Oh, no.
There was like that big fat mouse.
Oh, the big fat mouse
who would go crazy
with
for the cheese.
Yeah,
but I can't remember what his name is.
That's right. And I forgot Tailspin was another one of those that was part of the afternoon collection too, because that was another Disney cartoon game.
Yeah.
But outside of the graphics and the music, which I think were classic Capcom top notch, this game has a few unforgivable flaws to me. One, the game is just too easy. I know that it's a little bit biased to say that because obviously the game, it was Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It was made for kids. They knew who their audience was going to be. They weren't catering to adults, so therefore they wanted to make the game enjoyable for kids. So obviously it was easy.
Yeah, but DuckTales was for kids too, and that game was pretty fucking rough.
It did get rough, yeah. So they had some difficult games, and was it Capcom also did Ghosts and Goblins? So I mean they knew so they knew how to make a hard game.
They
knew that they wanted to punish people.
Oh man.
So I mean the game was just a little bit too easy for its own good.
It was easy. It wasn't quite Tailspin easy.
No, but
it was actually I would equate it to about Tailspin.
Maybe because I think we gave Tailspin 3 as well.
Yeah,
too,
and so I honestly feel like Tailspin, the only real rough part of that was the fact that it was auto-scroll. So you could get caught and pinned.
Yes.
And you could die. Yeah, you could turn around, but that was their only real threat. Yeah. I mean, in this one, you couldn't really get pinned, per se.
To me, another one of the flaws of this game is, and this is kind of, it's a little bit subjective too, but I think the game itself, and this is not subjective, it's repetitive. It's horribly, horribly repetitive. But this comment of mine is subjective, is I think it was too long for its own good. Because it was, it literally, it was 10 levels, and instead of having a variety to the game, it was literally the same level, just in different locations, over and over again, where it's literally jumping and platforming, and then maybe doing a boss, and then that's it. And the game just went on way too long. Instead of having 10 levels, they should have had 5 or 6 levels that were just really well thought out, really just well developed, and that's all you needed. You did not need 10 levels. You didn't need more than that in order to get your point across about the game. So I think honestly, it felt too long and too repetitive to be really just great, top notch.
So I told you I was on the fence between a 2 and a 3. I'll give it a 3. I will go to the higher end of that. However, I honestly don't think this is a 4.
No, that's
the music's good, graphics are great, but when the core gameplay of the game is so drastically flawed, like it is in this, there's no excuse. I don't care what coat of paint you put on it. If the game's not enjoyable to play, what difference is it how good it looks?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's
so
true.
Honestly, I think 4 is a little too generous because it's really, like, mechanically speaking, wasn't good. The attacking was a pain in the ass, to be quite frank. Some of the enemies came at you in such a fucking, like, strange way that you really couldn't even attack it. So, and then they would, like, there was certain points where as soon as the enemy came on screen, he was shooting at you to where, like, you couldn't even get out of the way. So, like, actually that last stretch with the conveyor belt or whatever, like, as soon as they're on, you couldn't avoid it. I think we lost a lot of lives just on that one part.
Final stretch, yeah.
And it was just, it was the fact that you couldn't avoid anything. So it's like,
but my
Capcom missed the mark pretty bad on this.
And then my third flaw, obviously, which has already been touched on, is the 2-player mode.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the game was intended for 2-player because of the way that it played out. I mean, it should have been made for 2-player because it's Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Right.
I mean, it's the 2 characters. But just the way that they did 2-player just did not really work well at all. And now I'm at a loss for thinking, what Capcom games did they do 2-player? Capcom didn't really
weren't a whole lot.
They didn't really do a lot of 2-player games.
No, and for good reason, apparently.
And that's why I can't... I completely understand where you're coming from with the 3, but I'm not going to go as low as a 3 because I think that if you play this game 1-player, it does have its merits. It does have its charms, and it is actually playable 1-player.
Like Darkwing Duck.
Is it playable 2-player? Not so much. If you play a 2-player, then yes, you're looking at a 3 for fun. But if you're playing it 1-player, 4. I honestly think that this game, it was just something that they were out of their comfort zone. They didn't really do 2-player a lot, and it really showed in this game.
It's almost one of those things where, yeah, like you said, it's Chip and Dale. You should be playing this 2-player.
You have to.
Double Dragon should have been 2-player. It's called Double fucking Dragon. Or
But
Joe and Mac should have been 2-player. It's called Joe and Mac. 2 characters. You can only play one at a time. Like, it completely goes against the idea.
It does, but here's the thing that I respect about Double Dragon is that Data East, or whether it was Data East or Trade West, they did not know how to program it 2-player.
Is it Technos Japan or something
like that? Technos Japan.
Yeah.
Did not know how to program it 2-player, and so instead of diminishing the quality of the game by still just going through and putting in 2-player, they said, nope, we understand it's Double Dragon, but guess what? Only 1 player can play at a time because guess what? You're going to get a better quality game, and I respect the decision that they made. Capcom didn't do that. They were like, you know what? We can't do 2-player. We don't know how to do 2-player, but, well, guess what? This game's got to be 2-player. So make it happen. They made it happen, and because of that, it ended up becoming a subpar game.
I almost wonder if they included that stun feature to try and, like, create a semblance of teamwork to where you had to communicate, hey, you need to move, and then whip the... I don't know. But the game, like, the jumping was so clunky.
Maybe, but it should never have even come to that. No. It should never have gotten to that.
The jumping was so horribly, like, heavy feeling and clunky that it just, it made trying to get out of the way of the partner almost impossible.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't, like, Capcom was a fucking grade A developer.
Yeah.
They could have done better. So maybe my fun for a 3 is based on the fact that they knew better and they knew they could do better, but that was what they pumped out. And I, like, personally disappointed. So maybe that's why I give it a 3.
That's fine.
But I honestly...
But why I said I can't give it a 3. I'm going to stick with the 4 because I think that it does have its charms. It does have its merits. But they literally, this was them saying, you know what? We're a great company. Kids love us. We're one of the top companies. We're just going to do this even though it's not 100%. But you know what? They'll get used to it. And us, we didn't get used to it. And I wasn't even joking, too, when I said that I think that even, like, when you were younger and you played this game 2-player, like, this could literally end friendships. Like,
it would definitely cause fights with siblings.
It would cause fights with siblings. It would cause animosity between people because it was not fun to play 2-player.
No.
But, and I think that being a 4, it's literally middle of the road and it's on the lower end of it. That is enough to say that Capcom, like, That's my disappointment, is that not only did you not even hit the middle of the road, you're on the lower side of that.
This, to me, is definitely probably one of the lowest Capcom games. This is a low point for them on this system.
I think it may have been. Yeah.
I feel like this was their rock bottom because they did better games, hands down. I mean, DuckTales, Mega Man games, like they knew what the hell they were doing.
Oh yeah, they knew what they were doing. One player.
Yeah, so maybe no, I'm sticking with 3. Fuck it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Fuck 'em.
I'm sticking with 4 too.
Capcom, you're a bitch. All right, so we'll move on to price point. Paul, what did you pay for Chippendale?
Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This one actually I did not pay for. I had gotten this one from a friend in a trade.
What did you trade?
I actually traded Star Wars figures.
Oh, okay.
Because he was a Star Wars collector who had Nintendo stuff, and I was a video game collector at the time who was just slowly starting to get out of Star Wars, so it ended up kind of being a mutual kind of trade-off.
Okay.
Where he gave me a bunch of Nintendo stuff, and I gave him some figures that he didn't have, so it ended up working out. So I actually didn't end up paying anything for this game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what does this game go for? Because I'm feeling mine's out of date.
You know what? Let me just check that up right now.
Because I have a price on here, but when I wrote these notes, I think it may have changed.
So, according to price charting, as of today, this game goes for loose $12.48.
Yep, it's $1.50 lower than what I have on here.
What do you have on?
I have $13.75.
Oh wow, so it's went down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you feel that is worth it? No. I'll be honest.
No, it's not. This game, and it's disappointing because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Strider is also Capcom, right?
Yeah.
This is one of those games that people are not going to agree with me.
No, in fact, I have a feeling most people aren't going to agree with this retrospective in general.
No, they're not. But I feel like this is the same situation as Strider, where I think this is one of those overrated games that people just have this nostalgia for because they remember the cartoon, they remember it growing up when they were a kid, and so they just automatically assume, even if they've never played the game, they just automatically assume, this was a great game, this was my childhood, oh, it's so good. I honestly either think that A, they didn't play the game, or B, they only played it one player. They did not play it 2-player. So honestly, I think that this is one of those games where it's overvalued, overrated. It's not. It's no. I don't think it holds up.
No, I actually in my notes I wrote that I was torn about whether it was worth it or not. I mean, it's typical Capcom fare, but on the lower quality side.
There's so many other. There's so many better Capcom games out there.
Yeah, that's what I have written. Like,
DuckTales is. I think DuckTales might even be cheaper.
Yeah, probably. So I mean, go for DuckTales. Go for the Mega Man games. Hell, I'd rather play Street Fighter 2010 than this fucking game. I would. Maybe not you.
Let's be realistic here. Let's not jump over the bridge here.
At least Street Fighter 2010 was unique in its attempts.
It was unique. It was unique, and it was one player.
I'd rather play Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck was super good.
That was a good game.
But this game, honestly, to me, it's a miss.
It missed the mark. It has, like I said before, it's got its good elements too. Great design, great music, but there's so many different things and so many different flaws on here that just make it fall just short of the mark. And it's just it's not worth it. It's not worth the $12.48.
No. As I said, it's a shiny turd. Like you can make it look as good as you want. At the end of the day, it's still just a fucking turd. So I mean, yeah, music's good, graphics are good, but when the core of the game is not good enough,
it doesn't fix the main problems with this game.
And I feel like this game definitely lacked in a lot of ways. It's
too long, too repetitive, and the 2-player mode, which should have been the standout portion of this game, was just absolute garbage.
Yeah. Is Chippendales 2, does that game function relatively the same?
You know what? That's a good question. I've never actually played it.
Did I say DuckTales 2 or Chip and Dale 2?
No, you said Chip and Dale 2.
Okay,
I think.
cool.
Yeah.
For some reason, I
heard
keep
it.
getting it confused.
No, but I've never played Chip and Dale 2, so I don't know if it functions the exact same way. Or actually, no, I take that back. I have played it, but I played it so long ago that I don't remember if it functions that same way. But even so, I only played it one player, so I don't know if it still functions the same way.
So we may be in for another argument down the road.
Power Trip may come to an end.
No, believe me, fucking this game is not going to be ruined.
No, I know.
You know, this brings to mind like the whole idea of like Battletoads too, where people have such a fond memory of it, but goddamn, like Battletoads is so hard to play.
I don't think people have fond memories of it. I think they may have fond memories of remembering their childhood, but the number one thing that people remember with that game is how brutally hard it is. But they don't say like, oh, this was one of the best games ever made. They say that it's a fun game, but it's so super hard.
Well, they must have enjoyed it at some degree, because I mean, are they remaking it or whatever?
They're still talking. Well, that is neither here nor there, because I think that took everybody by surprise that they're deciding to remake Battletoads.
Yeah, but this game, I feel like people have that same sense of nostalgia that they did for Battletoads, where the game's not really all that great, but well, see, Battletoads is all right.
Battletoads is great. I think it was.
We'll get to that when we actually do Battletoads, because I have a feeling we'll have differing opinions too.
Battletoads was definitely unique.
That's an argument for a different day.
Different day.
So there you guys go. It was a... What did we give it for difficulty?
3
for difficulty, 3 4 for fun. Not worth it. Which, honestly, I think is the first Capcom game that has not been worth it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the first Capcom game that we've played that we've said that it's not worth it.
So, that's what we're boiling down. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
I mean, comment if you agree, comment if you disagree.
Yeah.
If you disagree, I mean, really... We're just two idiots who play video games.
To be quite honest, yeah. I mean, this is just our opinion.
Just our opinion.
It doesn't have to influence you guys.
No.
We're just basically saying what we feel. If you guys have better memories, or if you have different reasons why you like this game, yeah, let us know. I mean, honestly, if you make a good point, then I mean, we're not gonna shut it down, or we're not gonna disagree with you. I mean,
we're open-minded people.
Absolutely. So I mean, yeah, don't let us sway you one way or the other. If you like it, then you know what, good for you. We're definitely glad that you like it. Like I said, it does have its merits, but it wasn't for us.
No, definitely wasn't our cup of tea.
Yeah.
So hit us up on Facebook.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Go to powertripgaming.tv. It'll take you right to the channel. The link in the description will take you to the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers playlist, where you can watch some of the most horrendous teamwork Paul and I have ever displayed.
I am pointing down right now to the link, but it's also, notice, it is a thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Yeah, after rewatching this was like the lowest teamwork we ever had.
Oh, I had no illusions, because I do remember we did not do well two-player on this game.
We honestly had more fun once it hit single player.
Yeah.
We really did.
Yeah.
Motherfuck. So, next time on Power Trip Gaming Retrospective,
we'll review something better.
And it's a Power Trip promise.
Power Trip promise!
I
don't know why you did that.
It had nothing to do with Chip and Dale, and for some reason,
no,
it just came out.